Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have Professor Glenn and Professor John Meisheimer. So we're gonna be looking at what the Iran has been facing in the past few days, and the Iran supreme leader has been killed in all these crossfires. And right now, Iran has retaliated, striking multiple cities in the Gulf, in the region, including Israel as well. So right now, the Middle East is on fire. And I think this is major escalation. I think the American people do not want this. The American people do not want war. The Israelis themselves do not want war. So why all this escalation? I strongly condemn the attack on Iran. Especially, just imagine, more than 100 girls were killed because Trump struck a high school, killing 105 girls. Just imagine, what danger does these little children pose? Why striking them? You know? So, I don't know, but Iran has retaliated in a massive way. And guess what? It's really working for them. So let's hear what Professor has to say.
On the issue of rationality and nuclear weapons, though, uh, are those? I mean, does Iran have to be irrational to acquire nuclear weapons? Because I would think there's a very rational argument for why Iran should get a nuclear weapon. I just want to make it very clear that this is not a normative statement about that they should get it, but rather just a rational security maximizing argument. Now, I hope they wouldn't, because I think it would be a disaster, would encourage regional proliferation. However, if I was advising the Iranian government, and again, I had the security interest of Iran at heart as the first priority, I would see a rational argument for why they would want this ultimate deterrent, especially when you have the most powerful country in the world seemingly seeking to destroy them. I guess, well, what I want to say is it seems like the lessons over the past few decades is that countries who develop these weapons, be it Pakistan or North Korea, they're safe. The countries who abandoned these programs, be it Iraq or Libya, they've been destroyed. So, again, just make it clear, this is not a normative argument being made, but wouldn't there be a rational argument why Iran should get nuclear weapons?
I agree 100% with what you said, every word. And I can't add much to it, but I'll make one or two additional points. One, Israel has nuclear weapons. Does that mean Israel is irrational? No. It was the strategically smart or rational thing for Israel to do. If I were David Ben-Gurion, or I were advising David Ben-Gurion back in the day, I would have told him, let's get nuclear weapons. Now, that's not in America's national interest. I would prefer as an American that they not have nuclear weapons. But from Israel's point of view, it made eminently good sense. It was the rational thing to do to acquire a nuclear deterrent. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And that same logic applies to Iran as you laid it out. To take this just one step further and go back to Israel, you don't see Israel or the United States or any other nuclear armed country for that matter moving to get rid of its nuclear weapons. They happen to like their nuclear weapons. And the reason is that nuclear weapons are the ultimate deterrent. I don't blame the Israelis for wanting to be the only state in the Middle East with nuclear weapons. It makes perfect sense. My dream is to have an international system where only one country has nuclear weapons. Only one country on the planet has nuclear weapons, and that's the United States of America. That's the ideal situation for us. But that doesn't mean the Russians or the Chinese or any other country that has nuclear weapons is irrational because they want nuclear weapons as well. So I would just say, that the idea that Iran is irrational because it wants nuclear weapons, it's a laughable argument. But it's the kind of discourse that we have in the West. And I believe, again, that much of that is driven by Israel and the lobby.
Before you expressed some optimism after Trump's State of the Union speech that he seems to be walking some of this back, and but in the past, it appears that he's been well, putting himself in a trap, boxing himself in to some extent, because he has sent all of these military capabilities to the Middle East. I think this is the highest concentration since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. But also you have this massive pressure coming from Israel. You think walking this whole thing back is the only thing it needs to hear is the magical word from Iran that we won't get nuclear weapons, because the Iranians have said this consistently over the decades, and they've been showing willingness to have these deals with transparency. Do you think this is enough to diffuse the whole situation?
It might be. I think that's the most we can say at this point. It might be. I mean, we haven't talked much about the pressures from the other side and the story that one might tell from the other side, which is the story that leads to war. The truth is that Trump is under tremendous pressure from Israel. There's no question about that. We just talked about all those Bibi Netanyahu visits to the United States. The Israelis really want us to do this. And we can talk more about that, because I think the Israelis see a window of opportunity here, and I think they see that that window closes over the long term. But I think the Israelis want us to jump through the window now and attack Iran. So Israel, and of course the lobby, which basically does what Israel wants, will put enormous pressure on Trump. And given Trump's political troubles and given the Epstein affair, that will really matter. There will be great pressure on Trump from those quarters to go, and he may feel compelled to go for that reason. Second point I'd make, Glenn, is, do you think that there's a clever story that can be told, a story that a clever briefer can tell, about how you can use military force in a limited way and then declare victory and in effect get out of this box that President Trump has painted himself into? The idea would be that you tell the Iranians you're going to launch a limited strike and you're going to go to great lengths to minimize the damage. You're going to then declare victory afterward and walk away. And you want them not to retaliate, and certainly not retaliate in a massive way, as they have promised to do. And then you'll put this all behind us. So there is a limited military option here, and that goes a long way towards dealing with General Kane's warning that we can't fight a protracted war. We just don't have the necessary inventory of missiles to do that, and bombs. So that the story there is that pressure from Israel and the lobby, coupled with the belief that you have a limited military option, may push him to do this. That would be the story on the other side. I think the biggest problem with that story has to do with the limited military option. I think the Iranians have made it clear that if we attack them, they are going to go full bore against us. They are coming back at us hard. And if they do that, we then have to counter-escalate. We can't launch a limited attack and then let the Iranians slam Israel, slam American bases in the Middle East, and shut the Straits of Hormuz. I mean, once the Iranians have taken you up the escalation ladder that far, we really have to hit back hard, as do the Israelis. And then you're in a full-scale war, and you didn't achieve your goal of getting a limited war. So it looks like it's almost impossible to have that limited war. And I could tell a story where I think the Iranians would be fools to agree to let the United States or Israel or both of them launch a limited attack and then do nothing. I think the Iranians should understand and do understand at this point that the only way you deal with the United States and Israel is you threaten to slam them. You threaten them, you threaten to make them pay a significant price if they start a war. Because if they get away with a limited attack, they'll come back again and try it once more. And if you're the Iranians, you want deterrence down the road. So I don't think the limited option is viable. And I would not be surprised if General Kane and his military advisors have told him that, we can use limited military force, but it will escalate in all likelihood and we'll be in deep trouble then. So I think that just leaves pressure from Israel and the lobby as the main factor that is driving Trump to war. And what he does is just very hard to say. Although, again, I think if you listen to the State of the Union address last night and you look at the overarching factors that inform this crisis, it does look, like he is beginning to back away.